EPK Capital presents Daily Brief for 10 September 2025. Hello everyone, welcome to EPK Capital's Daily Brief video. I am your host Rutvik. In this series, we try and update you and make sense of all the important news from the world of finance that came out globally. So without further ado, let's begin. Major stock market indices, closing levels worldwide. Let's begin with the big numbers, where the world's most important stock indices closed as of Wednesday, September 10th, 2025. United States, S&P 500 closed at 6,512.61, up 0.27%. Dow Jones Industrial Average closed at 45,711.34, up 0.43%. NASDAQ Composite closed at 21,879.49, up 0.37%. The US 500 index hit a new all-time high of 6,535 points, showing ongoing momentum despite macro uncertainties. Europe, FTSE 100, 9242.53, up 0.23%. DAX, 23,718.45, down 0.37%. KC 40, 7749.39, up 0.19%. Asia Pacific Nikkei, 225, 43.3767, up 0.87%. The Nikkei briefly breached the 44,000 level earlier today, setting fresh records on optimism about trade deals and possible government spending increases. Hang Seng, 26,199.2, climbed 1.01%. Shanghai Composite, 3,806.58, slightly down 0.02%. India, BSE Sensex closed at 81,382.50, up 281 points. Nifty 50 closed at 24,958.50, up 89.90 points. Small and mid-cap indices saw gains of 0.6–0.7%, as IT and bank stocks powered the upward move. Key macro and economic events driving markets: U.S. data and Federal Reserve policy. Producer Price Index, PPI, for August, released today, showing a 0.3% increase month over month, and annualized core PPI inflation easing to 3.5%, down from 3.7%. Consumer Price Index, CPI. Preview: markets expect the August CPI YY to rise to between 2.8–2.9%, up from 2.7% in July, with core CPI expected steady at 3.1%. This is above the Fed's classic 2% target, adding caution ahead of the September 17th FOMC meeting. Federal Reserve rate cut. Expectations: a downward payroll revision, 9–11,000 jobs, has fueled bets on a rate cut, with traders pricing a 75% chance of easing next week. Fed Chair Jerome Powell has signaled willingness to cut, citing labor market risks, but remains cautious about inflation persistence driven by tariffs. Legal tussle over central bank independence. President Trump attempted to remove Fed Governor Lisa Cook over pre-appointment mortgage fraud allegations, but a federal judge blocked the dismissal, preserving the Fed's autonomy for now. Cook's position is seen as critical for maintaining rate policy independence during political pressure, with the decision anticipated to reach the Supreme Court. Bond market movements. The German 10-year Bund yield declined 2 BP to 2.642%, and the 10-year U.S. Treasury held steady at 4.082%. U.S. mortgage rates continued their downward trend, with expectations for further declines should the Fed cut rates. Europe, ECB rate decision, set an 11 preview. The European Central Bank is widely expected to hold rates steady at 2.00% deposit facility, 2.15% refinancing, and 2.40% marginal lending. Inflation for the Eurozone stabilized at 2.1% in August, matching the ECB target. Markets anticipate at most one further rate reduction this year. Political uncertainty in France adds risk, but trade risks are easing following recent tariff negotiations with the U.S.-China. Inflation and producer prices. China's CPI remains negative, 0.4% YOY, underscoring persistent deflationary trends. Producer Price Index, PPI, fell 2.9% YOY, but the pace of producer deflation is easing, thanks in part to government crackdowns on price wars in core industries like energy. Key geopolitical events influencing markets: US, China, India, EU tariffs. Trump's tariff push. In a major development, President Trump publicly called for the European Union to impose tariffs of up to 100% on imports from China and India as part of a coordinated strategy to pressure Russia regarding the war in Ukraine. Trump also pledged further sweeping tariffs on India and China if Europe would cooperate. These remarks and ongoing U.S. tariff negotiations have heightened uncertainty around global trade, especially with U.S. tariffs on China averaging over 51% in 2025, more than 1.5 times higher than at the start of Trump's second term. U.S.-India trade talks. The U.S. and India announced continuing negotiations to address trade barriers and a plan for President Trump to speak with Prime Minister Modi in the coming weeks, signaling possible progress, but adding another layer of uncertainty for markets exposed to these economies. Middle East escalation. Israel strikes Hamas, leaders in Qatar. Israeli airstrikes in Doha, Qatar. In an unprecedented move, Israel targeted Hamas leadership in the Qatari capital, a critical U.S. ally and mediator in Gaza ceasefire talks. 6 were killed, including 5 Hamas members, though the negotiating team survived. Qatar strongly condemned the airstrikes as state terrorism and promptly suspended its mediation efforts between Israel and Hamas. Trump's response. President Trump stated he was very unhappy about Israel's strike, emphasizing hopes for hostages' safe return, but criticizing the attack for undermining diplomatic efforts in the region. This situation deepens volatility in Middle Eastern markets and threatens new regional alliances. Wider reactions. The UN, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Lebanon, and regional governments condemned the Israeli strike for violating international law. The incident marks rising geopolitical tension and questions about the security of key U.S. allies and energy flows in the Middle East. Other key political developments. Legal defense of Fed independence. The U.S. federal judge's decision to block President Trump from firing Fed Governor Lisa Cook not only preserves regulatory independence but also signals a wider resistance to political interference in the central bank's function. European leadership changes. French President Emmanuel Macron named a new Prime Minister, Sébastien Lecornu, aiming to stabilize government amid political uncertainty and input to Eurozone economic policy. Commodity prices and trends. Crude oil. Brent crude at $67.10, WTI crude at $63.30. Gold surged to $3,640 per ounce, near its all-time peak, as market participants position ahead of expected Fed easing. ANZ Group raised its year-end gold price target to $3,800, seeing potential for further increases as investment demand for safe havens climbs. Major developments, cryptocurrency and digital assets, market overview. Total crypto market cap stands at $387 trillion, down roughly 1.46% over the last 24 hours, suggesting slight investor caution ahead of the Fed and CPI catalysts. Bitcoin, BTC, trading at $111,568, down 0.56% from the previous day. Market cap, $2.22 trillion. Bitcoin dominance, 57.49%. Ethereum, ETH, at 4305, market cap, $519.7 billion. ETH price action showed 0.28% change, holding firm above $4,320 support and targeting the $4,500 resistance zone. Ethereum continues to process nearly 70% of blockchain flows, maintaining dominance in DeFi. Altcoins and trends. Capital rotation hints with CMC Altcoin Season Index at 6200, movement into smaller coins and novel tokens. Top picks with strong momentum include Arrow, Pump, LDO, ETH, and ETHFI. XRP news. XRP re-entered the Bloomberg Galaxy Crypto Index, securing the second largest weight at 14%. Market cap now at $176.2 billion, a dramatic climb from last year. Industry news. Digital asset adoption, QMMM. Holdings launched a $100 million digital asset treasury covering BTC ETH, SOL, sparking a 1,036% stock price rally before cooling in after hours. This move underscores aggressive blockchain allocation models in Asia-Pacific. Asian regulatory advances. South Korea ended a 7-year ban on venture recognition for crypto firms, signaling global harmonization and stimulative policy for blockchain innovation. Vietnam began a regulated 5-year pilot for its digital asset market. Ant Group's blockchain moves. Ant Group in China is tokenizing 8.4 billion of national energy assets, linking data from 15 million solar panels and turbines to blockchain. The initiative is designed to bypass traditional financial intermediaries and reduce project funding costs. Crypto institutional moves. BlackRock transferred $297 million to digital asset strategies, and Google Cloud launched a universal ledger blockchain for financial institutions, indicating deepening ties between major corporations and blockchain infrastructure. Meme coins. Pepe Coin and Dogecoin saw price increases, with Pepe Coin breaking above a critical $1,000 level. Stablecoin and meme coin demand looks robust as retail investors rotate into volatile assets amidst low macro volatility. Final thoughts and takeaways for investors. 1. Markets remain resilient, with record highs on U.S. indices and selective momentum across Asia and Europe, tracked against continued macro and geopolitical turbulence. 2. Macroeconomic data points to a cooling labor market and sticky inflation, reinforcing the case for imminent Fed easing, which in turn could spark volatility in stocks, bonds, and digital assets. 3. Escalating geopolitical events, especially the Israel-Qatar-Hamas confrontation and Trump's tariff requests, are adding fresh layers of uncertainty to markets and trade flows. 4. Cryptocurrency sector continues to make headlines with major price actions, regulatory liberalizations, and corporate investment signals, offering both risk and opportunity for diversified portfolios. 5. Political leadership and central bank independence are in sharp focus as the U.S. navigates legal struggles within its monetary policy organs and the ECB reaffirms steadiness on the European front. That brings us to the end of today's comprehensive market recap. Stay with EPK Capital and the AI reporting team for continuous updates on all things macro, political, and crypto. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more high-impact market analysis delivered straight to your feed. And that's all we had for this video. Thanks for watching. If you found this video valuable, please hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and let us know in the comments which company you'd like us to analyze next.